strips of cardstock and paper. That's what I'm doing now. I'm cutting a strip of laser printer paper that I'm going to glue in place over those little buttresses of paper and cardstock. They're not really buttresses, they're more like again, I get glue on every square millimeter of the paper. I press it very well in place, making sure that the seams don't show very well. And there's going to be artwork over that anyway, so that's going to block a lot of the seams. There you can see what it looks like blended. And I'll be doing that blending throughout the entire process. Now I also attached the back part of this, and later on I'll blend those strips as well. I attached it there, and I also attached it to that spiral cascade behind it. Now I'm going to place this as a rooftop. I'm going to cut it to size, and I'm going to put what are called crenellated battlements like that. They're the battlements. I don't have the crenellations on there yet. I'll show that in another video. Okay, as you can see, I also put the gazebo-like tower onto the circular dish right next to it, and I put all the other towers in place. The toothpaste tower, toothpaste box tower. There's a tower over the trigger in the middle. There's a tower over the trigger next to the candy dispenser. Okay, here I used a CD to trace some cardstock, and I put paper on the top, and I also layered paper on the bottom. And then I put some battlements around that also. In the back I put a rectangle of cardstock. It's glued to the dish on the bottom, and it's also glued to the rooftop. There you can see how it's glued to the dish. And in the front I put two pillars. They're just made of paper that I rolled around a pencil and glued in place. I made sure that both of the columns and that cardstock in back were exactly the same height. So when I placed the roof on top, the roof was even, and I looked at it from all angles to make sure of that. And there's going to be a battlement around that, just like that green battlement, and I'm going to put one around there, trim battlement, I'm not sure what to call it. And there's the toothpaste box. I put a little kind of a bridge that connects it to the round tower, and I also I just glued it to the top of the Cheerios box. That little bridge was made of marble cascade ramps that I turned upside down, and I put a little archway there that's right behind the coin trigger slot. The coin slot right there. Okay, this is that trigger, and I improvised a tower that surrounds the trigger. Here's the back of the trigger. The marble will go right there, and then the little plug that will keep the marble from falling into the hole will go right next to the it'll go right over the hole, and the ribbon pulls the plug out of the way. The marble falls in. Okay, and I improvised that tower. There's an archway on the left side of it, and I just used cardstock and paper, folding it on top. Okay, anyway, as you can see, there's a hole on that side of the candy dispenser tower. You can see the bottom of the dispenser with a little gate. There's a wall on this side and a wall on the other side, and the other side is open because the candy is going to be right there in a box, and when I'm setting up the trigger, or when I set up the triggers for the customer, I also take the candy and I push it into the box. I mean into the candy dispenser box. I also put walls on the bottom, as I said I would earlier. As you can see, I already have some wallpaper on it, and that's the paper that I'm going to use for doing the artwork, and I've already done some of the artwork. That's the second base color, which is green, and you can see I put patches of green on the Cheerios box right there. I put it on the wall right next to it right there. I haven't put anything on the towers yet because I'm planning to put artwork there, and I used this bluish purple paper as the trim for the marble cascades, and for the coin trigger, that's the coin ramp. And I used scrapbook paper, a different greenish color of scrapbook paper, to highlight the coin trigger, and that's also scrapbook paper.